Hi, I'm Father Roderick, and let me wish you a happy new year. Since I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and maybe you are too, I thought it would be fun to look at some advice that we get from very famous Jedi Masters in the Star Wars saga, and see if that advice can help us formulate New Year's resolutions. And to start this new year, like a Jedi, I learned from the Jedi that it's all about finding balance. It's not that there is not going to be anything that's wrong in your life, but it's all about maintaining peace and calm in the here and now, in the present, in any situation that life will throw at you. One of the most important quotes, I think, of the entire saga is what Yoda says in the prequels. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hatred, hatred leads to aggression and suffering. So let's start with fear. Never let others upset you by instilling fear in you. Look at social media. A lot of it is filled with fear and aggression, with negativity, with toxicity. If someone starts to drag me down, or if someone that I follow on social media is just always being negative, always causing me to be anxious, well then maybe I should step away from that. Maybe I should mute that person or unfollow and maybe start to follow other people that are more positive and have a more positive influence on my overall balance. So never let others determine how you should feel. Qui-Gon Jinn says it very well at the beginning of The Phantom Menace. Don't center on your anxieties, he tells Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, it's normal, it's human to have anxieties, to worry about stuff, but don't center on it. Don't let your life and the world gravitate around what you're afraid of. It's one of the things that touched me most in episode 9 is this fearlessness of Rey. When she's facing the biggest nemesis, I won't go into spoilers, then there is no fear. There is no temptation to hate or to react with aggression or to go over to the dark side, because she's at peace at what she believes in, and she's at peace with the people that she believes in. So letting go of your anger also means letting go of the past. I mean, that's one of the few pieces of advice that I would take from Kylo Ren. When he tells Rey, let go of the past, destroy it if you must. Be aware that sometimes it's not this current situation that is making us unhappy. It is that what happens to us right now in this current situation triggers wounds from the past. And the more you're able to let go, and sometimes you just need guidance in that. You may need spiritual or even psychological help to do that. But the more you free yourself of the burden of the past, and in the Catholic Church we have this beautiful sacrament of confession, which is meant to heal us by forgiving what went wrong in the past. Never let the past bring you down in the present. You are in the here and now, and you decide what will affect you. Let go of hatred is a consequence of that. I mean, one of the things that the Jedi learn is never react out of hatred. Again, something that was very central in episode 9, in Rey's final test almost. It's a test of faith in a certain way, when she faces her nemesis. She says very clearly, I am not going to hate. I'm not going to give in. I am not even going to hate you that may deserve it, but I'm not going to do it, because hatred is not going to help me, and it's not going to help the situation. Only use the Force for knowledge, which actually is an invitation to open your mind. Try to understand. Try to understand people that you may fear, that may have hurt you. Try to understand. Try to understand a situation. Instead of complaining and just ranting about it, try to understand what is going on and what can I do in this situation? What should I do in this situation? And use the Force, put your energy into the things that need to be defended. And it can be causes, it can also be people. Don't be afraid to put your energy in standing strong for what you believe in and who you believe in. Another thing that you could consider in thinking about how am I going to change my life in this new year is what do you do to yourself? Don't let yourself upset you. And that is actually more common than you may think. The enemy is not always the others. Sometimes it's just you. It's the person that looks at you in the mirror. It's because we are condemning ourselves. We fear ourselves. We regret things. We are disappointed in ourselves because we fail. We make mistakes. We hurt other people. We sin. All the good advice that we get from the Jedi towards others, you also have to apply it to yourself. So learn to be patient with yourself. Give yourself room to grow. Don't condemn yourself because you feel that you have to be someone you're not. Because other people are projecting something on you. Don't be afraid of who you are. Never judge yourself on the basis of what someone else tells you you should be. There's only one up there that can tell you and can help you also to be who you should be. But don't fall for the condemnation of others, the judgment of others. Always ask yourself, well, but is that the person that I'm called to be? And if not, let it go. It doesn't matter what people tell you. That's how I deal with the comments. When people accuse me of all sorts of things or say awful things about me, and I was like, well, but I'm not that person that you're currently condemning. I'm not that person. So then it's easier to let go of that criticism. It's not a problem in itself to fail. A Jedi is not made in one day. Okay, so that's all the stuff that you need to avoid. It's being judged by others, being lured into the dark side by the negativity of others, or by yourself. But what can you do positively? What are the things that you have to do instead? Well, let's go to H2, the little island where Luke Skywalker has retreated in The Last Jedi. When Rey asks him basically, how do I become a Jedi? His advice in the first lesson, when they're sitting outside there on the cliff, is breathe. That's beautiful, just breathe. It's not think or do this or do that, but just breathe. Be in the moment. That's what breathing does to you. That's why breathing is such a fundamental element of a lot of meditation techniques, be it Christian or non-Christian. But focusing on your breathing helps you to become more aware of the here and now. And also, breathing itself it's what keeps you alive, basically. So it's the most basic thing that you can do to let life flow through you. It's by breathing. And breathing is breathing in and breathing out. And by breathing out, it helps you to let go of the things that are toxic, like, the coal monoxide in your lungs. Breathe, meditate, pray. We don't see it much in the movies because it's not a very filmic element, but I'm pretty sure that meditation is an essential part of learning to become a Jedi. It's what we see Rey do at the beginning of the Rise of Skywalker. She's meditating. And she fails. She's not very good at it, and she tries to, hear the voices of all the Jedi that preceded her, and she can't connect. But she's giving it a try. She's totally at peace. And then, of course, she gets anxious again, and meditation is hard. Praying is hard. Trying to listen instead of praying with words, it's very, very hard. It's difficult, but it helps to focus on breathing. And then the next advice that Luke gives Rey is reach out with your feelings. It has to do with empathy, being compassionate. Look at the world, reach out to the world with your heart, with also your feelings. Compassion is compatire in Latin. So it is to feel with, instead of judging first, start with the judgment, which is constantly going on social media. It's like even before I have thought about it, before I've asked, before I've entered into a conversation, I have my opinion, I'm right, and I'm just gonna put it out there. And Good luck with it. Well, that's not the Jedi way to do it. It's also not the Christian way to do it. It starts with listening, just like prayer. Prayer starts with listening instead of with words. And the Jedi way is always just first look at the situation, postpone your judgment, open your mind, and then once you've really reached out with your feelings and with your heart, then you act, then you judge, and then you act. So it's a 3-step process. It has to do with patience. In order to listen, you have to give people room to speak their mind, to share with you. So be patient. Be patient with yourself. What does your heart tell you? Give people room to grow. It's what Luke does when he faces Vader in Empire. He still believes there's good in him. He still believes that there is room for Vader to grow, to change. And it's the opposite of what the Emperor does. You are like this. It's your destiny. It's your birthright. You will never change. You are only what you are because of me. That's the Emperor. Finish what you begin. That's another thing. It's better to do one thing very well this next year than to do 10 things, at 50% in a mediocre way. So pick your battles. Focus in your life. Don't try to do or to be everything at once. And this is something I tell myself because being a creative mind, I'm always thinking about 100 things that I want to do. But instead, choose a few and try to do them with all your heart. And finishing what you began also sometimes means finish what you have begun in the past and doesn't work. Choose, and this is a hard one, choose commitment and a serious mind over adventure and excitement. Don't get distracted by the things that don't really matter. Sometimes it's better to read a book than to watch 10 movies. Just an example. Sometimes it's better to have a one-on-one conversation with one person and really affect that other person's life than to speak to an audience of 10,000. Maybe the last thing I want to say is come back to that thing that I said before is, and this is Leia's advice. Leia too, we learn in episode 9, is a Jedi Master, is a teacher. And she tells Rey, never be afraid of who you are. If there's one New Year's resolution that I'm going to try to follow up on, it's this one. Never be afraid of who you are, including the things that you're bad at, the things that are still wrong, the things that you wish were better. But don't be afraid of that. Don't let it put you down. Use it as a springboard for who you can be. The Force is not just for the perfect. The Force is not just for the people that are called Skywalker. The Force is there for anyone who's open to it. The Force doesn't care who you are or what your last name is or who was your father or mother. The Force cares if you're open to it. And in that respect, I think that's a very Christian message as well. Or at least it's similar to the Christian message of God's love. God loves not just the successful people or the perfect or the saints. God loves anyone, even the worst sinners, because he gives them room to change. And his love actually allows us to make choices, even allows us to make the wrong choices. God could have programmed us, but he doesn't, because he's not the Emperor who tries to program, his clones and the people, his minions. But the Force is the opposite. The Force always lets you choose. You can go to the dark side if you want to. You can go to the light side. But it's this gift of freedom that is actually a gift of love. And in a similar way, in Christianity, it's the same message. Don't be afraid of who you are. Because for God, it's good enough to love you. So if he loves you, why would you not love yourself? Maybe this Jedi meditation helps you think and reflect on the priorities for this year, who you want to be this year, who you want to become, and what you want to walk away from. Thanks for watching, and here's to a great year on YouTube. Please subscribe, hit that bell button so you get notified of new videos, and may the Force be with you.